In a world brimming with the ordinary, Elias Thorne, a brilliant young man with dark brown hair and piercing blue eyes, possessed a life illuminated by the extraordinary love of his family. He was a promising medical student, his future laid out brightly before him. His anchor, his heart, was his younger sister, Lily Thorne, a frail girl with long blonde hair and bright green eyes, often seen in a simple white dress. Their days were filled with laughter, shared dreams, and the simple, profound joy of familial bonds. They lived in a modest but cozy apartment, a sanctuary from the bustling city outside, a place where childhood dreams were nurtured and futures were envisioned. Elias often helped Lily with her homework, their heads bent together, a picture of sibling devotion. But tranquility can be fleeting, a fragile illusion shattered by the cruel hand of fate. One ordinary afternoon, a devastating explosion ripped through their city district. The news channels screamed of a terror attack, painting a chaotic picture of debris, smoke, and unimaginable loss. Elias, a young man with dark brown hair and piercing blue eyes, medium build, simple student attire, rushed to the scene, his heart a frantic drum against his ribs. Amidst the pandemonium, his world crumbled. He found Lily Thorne, a frail girl with long blonde hair and bright green eyes, wearing a simple white dress. Amidst the rubble, her innocent life extinguished. The horror etched itself into his soul, a wound that would never truly heal. The very air seemed to weep with his grief. The funeral was a blur of hushed condolences and sympathetic glances, all meaningless against the backdrop of Elias' crushing despair. Elias Thorne, a young man with dark brown hair and piercing blue eyes, medium build, now clad in somber black attire, stood by his sister's grave, his eyes dry but his soul weeping. The official narrative of a random terror attack echoed hollowly in his ears, a superficial explanation for a profound tragedy. He felt an unsettling dissonance, a primal instinct screaming that something was wrong. As the coffin was lowered, a silent, ironclad vow formed in his heart to uncover the truth no matter the cost. His grief hardened into a resolve as cold and sharp as steel. Weeks turned into months, but the official investigation offered no solace, only a tidy conclusion. The authorities swiftly closed the case, attributing the explosion to a lone wolf terrorist and offering no further details. Elias Thorne, a young man with dark brown hair and piercing blue eyes, medium build, simple student attire, found himself staring at the cold official report, his heart a cavern of disbelief. The lack of concrete evidence, the hurried closure, the absence of any deeper inquiry, it all felt like a carefully constructed lie. He knew, with an unshakable certainty, that the answers provided were merely a veneer, concealing a truth far more sinister. The official explanation was a bandage over a gaping wound, and Elias refused to accept it. Driven by an insatiable hunger for justice, Elias Thorne, a young man with dark brown hair and piercing blue eyes, medium build, simple student attire, began his own clandestine investigation. He pored over news archives, witness testimonies, and public records, searching for the slightest crack in the official narrative. His nights were spent meticulously cross-referencing data, his days a careful facade of normalcy. He noticed subtle inconsistencies: a witness who suddenly recanted their statement, a security camera feed conveniently corrupted, an emergency response time that defied logic. Each anomaly, no matter how small, fueled his conviction that a deeper, more insidious conspiracy lay hidden beneath the surface of the official story. He was a man possessed, unable to rest until he found the truth. His tireless efforts finally bore fruit, not through grand revelations but a minute detail overlooked by others. Returning to the site of the explosion, a place still haunted by memories, Elias Thorne, a young man with dark brown hair and piercing blue eyes, medium build, simple student attire, meticulously sifted through remnants. Tucked beneath a broken piece of concrete, he found it. A small, discarded glass vial, pristine and untouched by the blast's fury, emblazoned with a peculiar, unfamiliar logo. It seemed entirely out of place amidst the grime and destruction. This seemingly insignificant artifact was a glaring inconsistency, a tangible thread leading away from the terrorist attack narrative. It was the first solid clue, a beacon in his desolate quest for truth. The vial became Elias' new obsession. He spent days in university labs, discreetly analyzing its residue and deciphering the cryptic logo. The results were startling. The logo belonged to Aegis Pharma, a colossal pharmaceutical corporation renowned for its groundbreaking, if sometimes controversial, research. The residue indicated a highly potent, experimental drug, one not yet approved for public use. A chilling realization dawned upon Elias Thorne, a young man with dark brown hair and piercing blue eyes, medium build, simple student attire. This wasn't a random act of terror. It was a targeted event, meticulously orchestrated, and Aegis Pharma was at its dark heart. The connection was undeniable, painting a much darker picture of corporate malfeasance. Knowing that direct confrontation was suicide, Elias Thorne, a young man with dark brown hair and piercing blue eyes, medium build, simple student attire, formulated a daring plan: infiltration. He meticulously crafted a false identity, a meticulously detailed persona of a brilliant but unassuming data analyst with a clean background. He honed his hacking skills, anticipating the need to bypass digital defenses. Every detail, from his fabricated resume to his new social media presence, was perfected to withstand scrutiny. He knew he was walking into the lion's den, but the image of Lily Thorne, a frail girl with long blonde hair and bright green eyes, wearing a simple white dress, fueled his courage. He was ready to become a phantom in their midst. His fabricated identity, combined with his genuine intellect, secured him a low-level position within Aegis Pharma's data management department. Ilias Thorne, a young man with dark brown hair and piercing blue eyes, medium build, now dressed in unassuming office wear, moved through the corporate halls like a ghost, observing, absorbing, and waiting for his opportunity. The gleaming, sterile environment felt suffocating, a stark contrast to the darkness he knew lurked beneath. He familiarized himself with the company's labyrinthine systems, learned the routines of key personnel, and sought out any digital backdoors. Every polite smile he received, every casual conversation he engaged in, was a carefully calculated step in his intricate game of deception. He was the serpent, slowly coiling. His path soon crossed with Dr. Evelyn Reed, the cold, calculating woman with a severe bun and lab coat, head of Aegis Pharma's research division. She possessed an unsettling aura of intellectual superiority and an almost predatory gaze. During a brief, formal introduction, Ilias Thorne, a young man with dark brown hair and piercing blue eyes, medium build, now dressed in unassuming office wear, felt an immediate chill. Her words were precise, devoid of warmth, reflecting a mind dedicated solely to scientific advancement, regardless of the cost. He saw in her eyes a ruthless ambition, confirming his suspicions about Aegis Pharma's true nature. She was a formidable adversary, a figure of chilling authority and unquestionable power within the company. Late one night, leveraging a newly discovered system vulnerability, Ilias Thorne, a young man with dark brown hair and piercing blue eyes, medium build, unassuming office wear, finally breached the corporate firewall, gaining access to highly restricted research files. His heart hammered against his ribs as he navigated through encrypted folders. He stumbled upon internal memos detailing alarming side effects of Project Chimera, the experimental drug linked to the vial. The documents mentioned unforeseen fatalities during early trials and a containment protocol that felt eerily familiar. Just as he was about to download a critical data log, a sudden security alert blared, forcing him to disconnect. He had only a glimpse, but it was enough to confirm his darkest fears. The puzzle pieces were falling into place, revealing a horrifying picture. Minwoo stood over the defeated mercenary, holding one of the Viper's daggers cold against the man's throat. His ice blue eyes were dead and empty of warmth, his silver white hair casting shadows over his face. He demanded the master override code. With the code secured, Minwoo unlocked the vault and took the ledger, leaving the unconscious mercenary behind. He walked out of the burning casino lobby as chaos erupted behind him, dialing Chairman Kang's private number directly to let him hear the sound of his empire burning. This was a declaration of open war. The leak of the VIP auction ledger caused panic among the global elite. Chairman Kang's stock prices plummeted overnight, and his allies quickly abandoned him to save themselves. Minwoo sat in a quiet, dark cafe, wearing a simple gray coat over his silver white hair. His ice blue eyes watched the television screen above the counter, displaying the crashing market. He drank his black coffee in absolute silence. The financial foundation of Kang's empire was completely shattered. Now only the physical fortress remained. Minwoo knew the final confrontation was approaching rapidly. Back in his penthouse, Chairman Kang was desperate. His face was pale, his slick-back gray hair messy, and the scar over his eyebrow twitching with madness. He stood before a towering, masked enforcer known only as Zero. Zero wore high-tech obsidian armor and a faceless black helmet. Kang pointed to a photograph of Minwoo, screaming for his death. He told Zero to use any means necessary, even if it meant burning down the entire city. Zero nodded silently, his armor gleaming ominously in the dim office light, prepared to hunt down the shadow broker. In the dead of night, the windows of Minwoo's safe house shattered in an explosion of glass. Zero, the masked enforcer in obsidian armor, crashed through the opening. Minwoo, his silver white hair catching the moonlight and his ice blue eyes wide with alert, rolled across the floor to avoid a heavy plasma blade. The safe house erupted into a battlefield. Hanbyul screamed as she was thrown back by the shockwave. Minwoo grabbed a metal pipe, channeling his combat training to block Zero's overwhelming strikes, sparks illuminating the dark room with every clash of their weapons. Despite his incredible skills, Minwoo was pushed back by Zero's high-tech armor. Seeing an opening, Zero grabbed the injured Hanbyul, who was clutching her purple hair, her round glasses cracked. Zero dragged her toward the shattered window, escaping into a waiting helicopter before Minwoo could reach them. Minwoo stood at the edge of the broken window, his silver white hair whipping in the wind, his ice blue eyes filled with rare, raw panic and burning rage. They had taken his only remaining friend. The boundary of cold strategy was gone, now it was personal. Standing in the ruins of his safe house, Minwoo bandaged his bleeding arm. His silver-white hair fell over his eyes, which were now dark, cold, and utterly lethal. He wore a heavily armored black tactical vest over his dark shirt. He loaded a specialized high-caliber pistol, his fingers steady despite the fury consuming him. He had no more elaborate plans, no more financial schemes. He was going to walk directly into the heart of Chairman Kang's fortress, slaughter everyone in his path, and bring his friend back or die trying in the process. Minwoo arrived at the towering glass skyscraper that served as Chairman Kang's headquarters. Rain poured heavily, washing over his silver-white hair and tactical gear. His ice-blue eyes locked onto the glowing penthouse suite at the very top. Security guards patrolled the lobby, but Minwoo walked straight through the front glass doors, glass shattering everywhere. He raised his pistol, firing with pinpoint accuracy. The lobby became a chaotic war zone as Minwoo moved like a specter of death, taking down armed guards one by one without slowing his steady march toward the elevator. The elevator doors opened on the highest executive floor, where Zero stood waiting in the long marble hallway. Minwoo stepped out, his silver-white hair wet with rain and blood, his ice-blue eyes locked onto the faceless black helmet of the enforcer. Without a word, they clashed. Minwoo fought with reckless abandon, ignoring his own safety to landing heavy blows. He managed to shatter Zero's obsidian chest plate with a powerful strike, but Zero countered with a slash that grazed Minwoo's cheek. The hallway walls were torn apart by the sheer violence of their final duel. With a final, desperate effort, Minwoo disarmed Zero, pinned him to the floor, and tore off his faceless black helmet. Minwoo gasped in shock. Underneath the helmet was Jinwoo, his long-lost childhood friend who was thought to have died years ago. Jinwoo's face was scarred, his eyes vacant and brainwashed. Minwoo's ice-blue eyes trembled with deep sorrow, his silver-white hair falling forward as he looked at his old friend. Jinwoo muttered a faint apology before losing consciousness. Kang had not just killed Minwoo's sister, he had stolen his brother-in-arms and turned him into a weapon. Rage, pure and absolute, fueled Minwoo as he kicked open the double mahogany doors of the penthouse office. Chairman Kang stood near the back wall, holding a gun to the head of a bound Hambyul whose purple hair was messy and glasses were gone. Kang's gray hair was disheveled and his scar twisted in a mad grin. Minwoo stood in the doorway, his silver-white hair messy, his ice-blue eyes glowing with demonic intent. The storm raged outside the panoramic windows, lightning illuminating the tense standoff between the broken broker and the dying tyrant. Chairman Kang laughed hysterically, demanding Minwoo drop his weapon or he would pull the trigger on Hambyul. Minwoo slowly lowered his gun, his ice-blue eyes locked onto Kang's scarred face. He spoke in a low, chilling tone, reminding Kang of the sister he had murdered 3 years ago. Minwoo explained that his revenge was already complete. The police, the media, and federal agents were already surrounding the building, alerted by the leaks. Kang was ruined, his name forever dragged through the dirt. There was no escape for the corrupt chairman anymore. Desperate, Kang fired a shot at Minwoo. Minwoo ducked, the bullet grazing his shoulder, and lunged forward across the room. He tackled Kang, sending them both crashing through the massive panoramic window. Glass shattered like diamonds in the air as they tumbled onto the rainy outdoor balcony. The storm beat down on them. Minwoo's silver-white hair was soaked, his ice-blue eyes cold as glaciers. He pinned Kang to the edge of the balcony, overlooking the sheer drop to the city below. The final moment of reckoning had arrived, high above the glowing neon streets. Chairman Kang, dangling over the edge of the skyscraper, begged for his life, his gray hair plastered to his forehead and his scar trembling. He offered Minwoo everything: money, power, and secrets. Minwoo looked down at the pathetic man who had caused so much suffering. With a steady hand, Minwoo pulled Kang back onto the solid balcony floor, refusing to become a murderer like him. Instead, he handcuffed Kang to the metal railing just as the flashing blue lights of police sirens illuminated the wet concrete below. Kang's legacy was officially over. Minwoo returned inside, untying Hambyul and helping her stand. They walked out of the skyscraper as police teams stormed the building, leaving the broken Chairman Kang to his fate. The next morning, as the sun rose over a clean Seoul, Minwoo stood on a bridge, his silver-white hair catching the golden light, his ice-blue eyes finally at peace. He tossed his burner phone into the river below. The shadow broker had finished his final job. He walked away into the crowd, ready to live a normal life, his sister's memory finally avenged.